What's going on, guys? RBG here, bringing you another video on Transformers Rise to the Beast. As you know, Paramount recently revealed that this film will be the first in a brand new trilogy, and many are wondering what this new line of films will center around. Like, there's still a lot of unanswered questions regarding what continuity these movies are going to take place in, so I'm going to do my best to clarify things for you guys. If you're new to the channel and specifically are here for news on Transformers Rise to the Beast or any other TF projects, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated. We're just 1 year away and we got a lot of stuff to go over. Anyways, in my last video, we got our first look at what Optimus Prime's robot in alt mode will look like for the upcoming live action film, and this came in the form of a newly announced figure from the Bumblebee Cyberverse toy line, which you can totally tell is something that's actually for the upcoming movie. As I mentioned before, this toy was most likely made shortly before the original release date for Transformers Rise to the Beast, but since Paramount pushed that release back a year, Hasbro had to ultimately release the figure anyways to avoid it losing money, because keeping things stocked up cost a lot. And the best way to do that was to just name slap the Cyberverse logo on it. Shoutouts to HeyC95 for pointing this out, that the new truck form looks like a reference to his second vehicle mode from Transformers Prime. Like, I didn't think about it at first, but it does give off major Beast Hunter Optimus vibes. Some of you may remember that after Optimus was revived by the Forge of Solus and granted a new beefier robot mode, he needed an alt mode to match his build.
Commander? Sir, you're looking robust.
Special Agent Fowler helps him out by bringing in a massive military truck described as an experimental, all-terrain, expeditionary fighting vehicle.
This will most certainly do.
So this is definitely one of those references that's similar to the one we got in Revenge of the Fallen when they adapted jet-powered Optimus from Transformers Armada. Come to think about it, there are a lot of things from TF Prime that may be directly referenced in this film. Like, we still have the Terracons, who are these classic characters who appeared in G1 and were later adapted in Transformers Prime as well. Except instead of being these robots who feature beast modes like their original incarnation, they were basically zombies brought to life by Dark Energon. I have a nagging suspicion that this movie is going to combine both of those elements though. They'll most likely feature these frightening beast alt modes to fight the Maximals, and if they're infused with Dark Energon, chances are they'll be working for Unicron, since Dark Energon is most commonly known as the blood of Unicron or the anti-spark. But anyways, you may remember me saying that this new alt mode was a T4 rally support truck, but as Happy Brown Guy pointed out, it looks more like a man 8x8 truck, which is a line of high mobility off-road trucks. They're still very similar to the rally support trucks with how versatile they are in different terrains. They're just not as fast. And some of you still weren't convinced by this truck being the actual alt mode, because if you remember, the only reveal we got pertaining to Optimus Prime's vehicle form was the new cab over truck that we saw in all the behind the scenes photos. And I'm not saying that we're not going to see that form. I'm pretty sure that version of Optimus is going to be featured prominently throughout the film, but I have a strong belief that we'll be seeing the new truck mode somewhere near the climax of Transformers Rise to the Beast. I mean, Optimus Prime featuring two robot and alt modes isn't necessarily anything new to the live action Transformers film franchise. We saw him get a new robot mode upgrade when he got his jet power form in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and we saw him get upgraded from his old truck mode to a brand new Western Star truck. As a brief mention, I also want to remind you guys that Bumblebee had a total of 4 different vehicle alt modes in his movie, which consisted of his original Cybertron vehicle mode, a military Jeep, the Volkswagen Beetle, and a Camaro. So I think there is a possibility that we might see him scan the man 8x8 truck when him and Bumblebee take the action off-road to keep up with the Maximals. But we'll just have to wait and see what the director and screenwriters have in mind. We still got to figure out what the game plan is for this film franchise moving forward too. There's been an ongoing debate amongst fans on where they believe the continuity is going to take place. There are some who strongly believe that Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast are prequels that take place in the Bayverse and will ultimately get a follow-up to TF5. And I think that was the initial plan back when Paramount created a new writer's room to come up with a roadmap for their live action films. And things were going well for the most part, because they had already had 2 films in production, Transformers The Last Knight and Bumblebee. You could tell they were super confident in their rollout, but as you know, TF5 ended up underperforming at the box office compared to previous films like Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction. Like, it made over 600 mil, which is a lot of money, but based on the money Paramount put into production and promotions, it wasn't enough for them to turn a profit. And that ultimately affected Bumblebee, since fans weren't really sure if it would be the typical TF film filled with explosions and college humor. So even though it was relatively successful at the box office, it didn't accumulate the usual big bucks earlier films like the 07 movie did, because they had lost half of their audience, not to mention that fans of the Bay films weren't really high on the more simplistic G1 designs that are going to be around for a while now. And I kind of get their complaints. Even though the Bayformers were metallic kibble, you still saw all the parts move in place when the robots transformed from their vehicle modes. That's something Michael Bay was very adamant about showing, since the old G1 show didn't really highlight all the different parts transforming. It's more like mass shifting, but he wanted to make it look as real and as logical as possible. But as you know, some of the G1 purist fans didn't really like it since it was hard to follow the action. And to the Bay Films' defense, the concept artist did sort of rectify this issue by making the Autobots and Decepticons more proportionate in movies like Age of Extinction and The Last Knight. But now Hasbro is taking matters into their own hands with Allspark Pictures to make something that's more faithful to the original source material, because the writers of the Bay Films were essentially writing themselves into a corner with each installment. Like, I can imagine the executives would go back to the drawing board with Michael Bay and ask, what can we do to make this bigger? It's like they lost sight of what originally made the first movie so good. If you go back and look at the behind the scenes footage, they were dedicated to keeping things as faithful as possible to the source material. They even went so far as to consult with Simon Furman, who's the comic book writer who pretty much laid down the groundwork in Transformers lore. A little interesting fact that I would like to point out is that one of the writers for the first two films would go on to work on Transformers Prime, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to bring him back when his schedule isn't too busy. But for now, they're working with other writers and directors who are just as passionate about the Transformers franchise. In terms of the new trilogy, I think it's safe to say that Rise of the Beast will serve as an introduction to the Beast era cast. If you notice, you've been seeing a lot of them in modern TF media in recent shows like Transformers Kingdom, because it's been a while since those particular characters have been at the forefront. So Paramount and Hasbro are essentially going to use this movie to get casual audiences more familiarized with these characters. And if they want, this movie can serve as a jumping off point that'll segue into their own spin-off film where you can only see the war between the Maximals and Predacons. There's also a chance that one of these films can salvage the initial plan of introducing Unicron, because as I mentioned earlier, he will play a role or at least be mentioned in Rise of the Beast. And I know some of you are going to argue that it wouldn't make sense for them to try to connect this to the original Bay canon, but to be fair, the Bay movies always contradicted their own lore at every turn, so it wouldn't be hard for the writers to latch onto something that revives those old story beats. If the MCU films can connect other Marvel movies that were made 20 plus years ago with their new multiverse, then Paramount can do something similar with the characters like Unicron. I mean, he is said to be a multiversal singularity, so he can basically move through different universes, or he can share a hive intelligence with other Unicron variants and be able to recount things from his past and future. Like, if the writers are smart, they can make him reference what happened to him before and after the events of Transformers The Last Knight and make it his mission to fix the mistakes his Bayverse variant made to achieve his ultimate goal.
Don't touch him. He doesn't like it.
Who doesn't like what?
Unicron.
But anyways, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. What are your thoughts on all these details and theories? Are you excited for this new movie and the trilogy overall? Or do you think you still need a little more convincing? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I ask you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed it, I'd appreciate it if you shared it with all your friends and followers on different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out. As a successful YouTube user, I often get questions asking what I use to get my videos tons of views. And the answer to that is TubeBuddy. This thing has helped me take my channel to the next level in ways I never imagined. It's a browser extension that helps new and experienced YouTubers grow fast and optimize their channels. I've been using this extension for years and it's constantly getting updated with new features, like the SEO tool that helps me come up with the perfect title, description, and tags to get more people to click on my videos. It even provides you with analytics beside your videos to see how much traffic your video is generating from various social media sites. The extension is absolutely free, but as a special offer, we're giving a 50% discount for channels that have less than 1,000 subscribers that purchase the Pro upgrade. All you have to do is enter in the code RisingStarBuddy. So if you're interested in starting a YouTube channel or taking your content to the next level, download the extension now. You can do so by clicking on this link that'll be provided in the description of this video.
Go back to the heart of the war.